Alrighty, so now we're moving on to the second scenario. We're still on TEK 5.3K, the part where we are adding and subtracting decimals. Again, just because we're adding and subtracting decimals doesn't mean that it's always going to be decimal and decimal. It could very well mean a decimal and a whole number. And so I'm pretty sure in the last video with scenario 1, we were adding and subtracting just decimals. So I'm pretty sure you already know that in the second scenario, we're going to also have a whole number. Okay, so in the second scenario, we're going to have a decimal and whole number. Go ahead and just use the pound sign for number. Okay, so here's a little example for you. So it says Yolanda is 65 inches tall. Her brother is 70.25 inches tall. How much taller is Yolanda's brother? Okay, so in this case, I'm going to be subtracting. And again, regardless that I have a whole number now, with a decimal, I have to go ahead and still line up my numbers appropriately. So I'll just write it big. 70.25, and it wants to know how much taller is her brother than her, right? So 70.25. One thing that I did notice whenever I would grade some of you guys' paper or even on previous tests, some of you guys would get confused, and whenever we threw in a decimal and a whole number, some of you wouldn't line them up correctly, and so you guys would forget that to the left is basically our whole number, right? If we covered these things here, it would just be a whole number. But anything after the decimal, well, then it's no longer a whole number. Now we have a decimal. So you guys would forget that. And sometimes I would see that you would put 70.25, and in this case, we're subtracting, right? So you would subtract, and I would see some people doing this, okay? Putting the 65 here. This is a big no-no, okay? Because this is a whole number. So we need to place it under where the whole numbers are, okay? So I have 70.25, and I need to go ahead and subtract the 65, and I need to place that under here, under the 70. And what I can do is add a decimal and add zeros, because again, adding zeros after the decimal, especially when there's nothing there, it's the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract these two. So 5 minus 0 is 5. 2 minus 0 is 2. Drop down decimal. Okay, and then 70 minus 65 is 5. So Yolanda's brother is 5.25 inches taller than her.